Have you ever wondered how one man transformed a simple dance into the soundtrack of an entire city? This is the story of Johann Strauss II, the composer whose music came to define Vienna and whose melodies continue to enchant the world more than a century later. Born in Vienna in 1825, Johann entered a world already filled with music. His father was one of the city's most celebrated musicians, admired for bringing the lively waltz into fashionable society. But despite his own success, his father dreamed of a different future for his son. Music, he believed, was too uncertain a life. Instead of encouraging the young Johann to follow in his footsteps, he forbade him from becoming a musician altogether. Fortunately, someone else believed in his talent. His mother quietly supported his passion, arranging secret piano and violin lessons while his father was away. Behind closed doors, a remarkable journey had already begun. For years, Johann practiced in silence, knowing that every lesson had to remain hidden. The more he learned, the clearer it became that music was not simply something he enjoyed. It was who he was. Eventually, the secret could no longer be kept. When his father discovered the truth, the conflict between them became impossible to ignore. But by then, Johann had already made his decision. Nothing would stop him from becoming a composer. At just 19 years old, he organized his first public concert. The audience had come expecting curiosity. Instead, they witnessed the arrival of extraordinary talent. The applause that evening was more than appreciation. It marked the beginning of a new musical chapter for Vienna. Soon, the city found itself divided. Some remained loyal to the father who had made the waltz famous. Others believed the son represented its future. But Johann wasn't interested in simply repeating the past. He wanted to transform the waltz into something the world had never experienced before. Before long, audiences began to notice something different. These weren't simply dances, they were stories told through music. Soon, invitations arrived from across the city, and before long, from beyond its borders. A new musical voice was beginning to captivate Europe. What made his music unforgettable wasn't just the rhythm, it was the emotion. He transformed the waltz from simple dance music into an unforgettable musical experience. What began in Vienna soon crossed borders. Concert halls filled, invitations multiplied, and audiences everywhere wanted to experience the music that had transformed the waltz forever. Then, in 1849, everything changed. The man who had ruled Vienna's ballrooms for decades was gone, leaving behind not only a remarkable legacy, but an enormous responsibility. For the first time, the future of Vienna's musical tradition rested entirely on his shoulders. It was no longer about proving himself. It was about leading an entire generation. Under his direction, Vienna entered a golden age of music. The waltz was no longer just a dance. It had become the heartbeat of an entire city. Soon, his orchestra was traveling across Europe. From magnificent capitals to royal palaces, audiences welcomed a sound that seemed to capture the spirit of an entire generation. Then came the masterpiece that would define his legacy forever, the Blue Danube, a melody so timeless that it would become the musical voice of Vienna itself. At first, few could have imagined its impact, but performance after performance, audiences fell in love with its unforgettable melody, and soon it echoed far beyond Vienna. Before long, the melody became inseparable from Vienna. To millions around the world, it wasn't just a waltz, it was the sound of the city itself. But he didn't stop there. Waltz after waltz, operetta after operetta, he continued composing works that filled concert halls, inspired generations, and shaped the soundtrack of an entire century. As the years passed, his music became woven into the fabric of Vienna. New generations learned the melodies, danced the same waltzes, and kept the tradition alive. Long after the final applause faded, the music remained. Decade after decade, its melodies continued to bring people together, proving that great art can outlive the era that created it. When his life's journey came to an end, the music never stopped. The melodies he left behind continued to inspire audiences, orchestras, and dreamers around the world. More than a century later, his music continues to fill concert halls across the globe. Few composers have left behind a legacy that still feels so vibrant, so joyful, and so alive. His melodies became traditions. Year after year, they returned to concert halls and grand ballrooms, reminding each new generation that some music never grows old. From the grand ballrooms of 19th century Vienna to concert halls around the world, his music continues to remind us that beauty, joy, and elegance never go out of style. More than a century after his final performance, every graceful waltz, every elegant ballroom, and every soaring melody still carries the spirit of the composer who forever changed the sound of Vienna. Every masterpiece has a story waiting to be discovered. Which composer should we explore next? Subscribe to Behind the Symphony and join us as we uncover the hidden stories behind the world's greatest music.